NASA presented a package of new, ambitious initiatives aimed at aligning the U.S. space program with the new national policy of the Donald Trump administration and strengthening U.S. leadership in space. The agency emphasized the urgency of these tasks and the enormous potential for breakthrough scientific discoveries. There are many changes affecting nearly all key elements of NASA's program. Below are the main points. The most significant changes concern the Moon. NASA confirmed previously announced adjustments to the Artemis program and outlined what comes next. The agency plans to shift from one-off missions to sustained operations on the lunar surface, gradually building up infrastructure for mission to mission. Artemis changes course. Artemis 3 in 2027 is now no longer considered a lunar landing mission, but rather a mission to test systems and operations in Earth orbit ahead of Artemis 4. After that, NASA aims to move to more frequent surface missions, initially about once every 6 months. The lunar base will also be built step by step, first increasing robotic deliveries, rovers, and scientific instruments, then adding basic infrastructure and regular logistics, and only later transitioning to heavy cargo and longer human presence. Against this backdrop, NASA is effectively putting the Gateway Lunar Orbital Station project on hold in its current form. The agency plans to shift focus from an orbital station to infrastructure needed for surface operations. This does not mean that already manufactured components will be discarded. Usable hardware will be repurposed, and international commitments will be taken into account. In the scientific domain, NASA highlighted several directions. The agency referenced the Roman Space Telescope, the Dragonfly mission to Titan, the delivery of the Rosalind Franklin rover to Mars in 2028, and a new Earth mission to study severe storms. At the same time, NASA confirmed an acceleration of robotic lunar missions, aiming for up to 30 missions starting in 2027. These will include more frequent deliveries of rovers, drones, and other payloads. Upcoming missions include Viper and Lucy Knight. NASA expects that more frequent landings and improved surface infrastructure will simplify the delivery of scientific instruments and technologies. To support this, the agency plans to open new calls for payloads for 2027 and 2028 missions, allowing researchers, universities, and even students to participate. In parallel, NASA intends to expand its science as a service model, outsourcing certain scientific and technical tasks to external providers while focusing internal resources on larger and more complex missions. NASA also outlined its vision for low Earth orbit after the ISS. The agency acknowledges that the transition to commercial stations is progressing more slowly than expected, so it plans to use the ISS as a transitional platform. The plan is to first attach a government-built core module, followed by commercial modules. Initially, these will operate alongside the ISS, using its capabilities to test technologies and operations. Later, they will separate and operate independently. NASA ultimately aims to become one of many customers purchasing services from commercial stations, rather than the central operator. NASA also announced the Space Reactor 1 Freedom Project. The agency plans to send the first interplanetary spacecraft with a nuclear electric propulsion system to Mars by the end of 2028. Freedom is described as a demonstration mission. NASA intends to test, for the first time on a real Mars-bound flight, whether a spacecraft powered by a nuclear reactor generating electricity for its engines can operate reliably in deep space, and whether this technology is suitable for future interplanetary missions. According to the plan, upon arrival at Mars, the spacecraft will deploy a payload called Skyfall, a group of Ingenuity-class helicopters for further planetary exploration. Technical details, cost, and readiness levels have not yet been disclosed. A separate part of NASA's plan addresses personnel. The agency aims to reduce dependence on contractors in key technical areas and convert thousands of contractor roles into civil service positions. NASA also plans to become more directly involved across the supply chain, not only with major contractors, but also with subcontractors and critical production stages. To achieve this, the agency intends to place its specialists closer to manufacturing and key components. Previously, the Super Heavy SLS rocket was returned to the launch pad in preparation for a lunar mission. Thank you for watching the video on my channel Cosmo Dream.